see a seal alone on the beach, what should you do? Leave it be with a watchful eye, and you call for rescue too. Take a picture for the team to evaluate the cause, and warn the others walking by to not disturb or pause. Marine mammal rescue, that is what we do. Marine mammal rescue, help the sick renew.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a wildlife rehabilitator, so I have a wildlife rehabilitation license, and I'm also the manager at the Whatcom Humane Society Wildlife Center. I'm not the main event for today. As was mentioned, SR3 are the people who actually do the long-term care for our seals, and they're going to be here shortly, so I don't have a presentation prepared for you, I'm so sorry. But basically what we do at the Humane Society is we're a general wildlife rehabilitation facility. So any wild animals that need help, we field in calls from the general public about the condition of the animal, we determine what's going on. Sometimes animals appear to be injured, but it's part of their natural defenses or part of their normal life cycle. And our staff are trained to tell, does this animal need help from us, or is this part of this animal's kind of normal life cycle? And then we can kind of help the person over the phone from there determine, do we need to bring in this animal? And then help create a plan for how to get that animal into care. So as you guys all know, there are some special challenges with Point Roberts since there's 2 international borders between our location and between wildlife up here. So one of the main things is it is illegal to transport any wildlife over those borders, including wildlife that's coming into us. And so what we can do, we have community partners here. PAWS has been a great help to us in terms of helping coordinate those animals. Once a person has found the animal and contained it, coordinating for that animal to come into care with us. And then once that animal gets to us, we're working on how are we going to help this animal get back to a fully healthy condition so that way we can get them back out into the wild. Generally, animals that come from Point Roberts, once they're rehabilitated, we want to release them back in Point Roberts to keep the ecosystems here very healthy. So that's something that we take into consideration as well when we get animals in. We take in all species of wildlife, so everything from eagles, owls, hawks, down to little songbirds, as well as mammals. We take in squirrels and baby deer, and pretty much any wildlife that you find out here, we have some resources to take care of. For the seals themselves, you'll hear from SR3 that they're the ones who do that long-term care. The Humane Society houses this stranding network, which means that if you find a baby seal on the beach, give us a call. We're the ones who are going to be kind of doing the initial intake of that animal, figuring out what's going on, doing some basic stabilization, and then once that animal is to a point where it's going to be safe to transport them down to SR3, SR3 takes care of them from there and does sort of the long-term care after that, and takes them back to release, and again brings them back up to Point Roberts to release them when they're ready to go. So that's kind of an overview of what we do. As I said, I don't have a specific presentation for you. Do you have particular questions for me?
How do we contact you?
Great. I have our phone number. I'm going to put our cards over here for you so you can pick them up. But we also have these posters here that have our main line. So you're going to give our phone number a call, and our staff is going to ask you what's going on, what do you see with that animal. You may tell that person, you know, this animal is injured, it needs to come into care. They're going to ask you some specific questions. What are you seeing that tells you that it's injured? So that way we can get a better understanding of the animal's condition, and so we know how to respond best for that particular animal. And then from there we'll help coordinate a response. So our phone number is going to be posted over here. As I said, sorry I don't have something up on the screen for you, but we'll have our phone number over here on these posters as well as little business cards for you to take home. Great question. Other questions? Yeah.
Ben?
Kate.
If we see a seal or some other animal, how close should we get? I mean, you don't want to touch it, obviously, but to make an assessment, would be something we'd see from between you and me, or is that too close?
Great question. So for seals in particular, they're covered by some special laws federally. And so for seals, NOAA recommends that the general public stay at least 100 yards away, which is pretty far. So we'll probably ask you to zoom really close in on your phone and get a picture that way. And then for seals in particular, we have a network of stranding volunteers who will send out, and they're people who we've trained. So if you've signed up on here, we'll send you an email and get you signed up for the training. So we train those volunteers, and then they will approach the seal and get us more detailed information. For most other wildlife, get as close as it's safe to do so. So with a little songbird, I'm not worried about you getting right up close to it and getting a close-up picture so we can see what's going on. For something like a mobile eagle, you may want to stay back a couple of feet to keep yourself safe. So it'll kind of depend on there, but you can always ask the person on the phone when you call our main line.
Okay.
Good question. Other questions?
I have something I want to add to that. PAWS has been putting up signs close to places where you might see a seal or an injured animal. And what I'd ask you to do is take a picture of the phone number so that when you're walking on the beach, you actually have the phone number. So if you're a mile down the beach, you don't have to leave a baby seal, which is vulnerable to people's dogs, to go get the phone number.
Yeah, that's a great point. Feel free to save these numbers. Normally we have fridge magnets. I was going to bring some up for you, and we ran out last week. So we've got these posters over here that have our phone number on them. Take a picture, save them to your phone, stick these onto your fridge so that way you can call us whenever you have a question. Did you have a question?
Is it a 24/7 phone response?
Great question. It's actually not. So our phone number, or our phones are manned from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and we ask that you leave a voicemail if it's outside of those hours, and we do listen to those voicemails and get back to you as soon as we can. Unfortunately, we don't have the staffing to be 24 hours.
Anna? But PAWS is going to put out some phone numbers of people that you can call 24 hours. And so like in the case of some of us have been trained and know what to do and can go and hang out with the animal until we can get you guys.
And those volunteers will have our contacts for 24-hour access. Some of them have my cell phone number, things like that. But we do ask that even if you're going to contact somebody else, because it's outside of our hours, we ask that you please, please, please call our phone number, leave us a voicemail so that way we can be looped in and we can be working on those cases. Does that answer your question? Great, thank you. Anything else from you before we turn it over to SR3? Go ahead.
In previous years, the fire department has been involved. What's their involvement in this version?
Yeah, so the fire department is still involved with us. So all of these calls are still going to us. The fire department is not making any decisions about these wild animals. They're very, very good at what they do and they're wonderful partners, but they don't have training on wildlife. And so for those calls, it's still going to be coming through us. And then oftentimes, if we need resources to get those animals into us, we're contacting the chief and we're asking him to help out with that transport and those kinds of things. But it still needs to come through us. Great question. Yeah?
So what happens if it's like a holiday, kind of like a baby seal or something?
Great question. We're open even on holidays. So that phone number will still be manned. We'll still be able to help you out. We know that animals get hurt every day of the year. Good question. Cool. Anything else?
Is it on? I can also just talk really loud if everybody can hear me. Yeah? Cool. No. Okay. We use the mic. I'll also talk loud. All at the same time.
That's good.
Alrighty. Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize again for being a little late. There was a landslide that blocked my way for quite a while. So we'll get started today, and kind of as we go through, maybe save our questions for the end, or if you're worried that you won't remember it, you can raise your hand, and you can kind of go as we go along. I am going to warn you, I do have some pictures of some really sad seals in this presentation, but I promise at the end of the presentation, I have some photos of some really happy seals. So we'll get there. My name is Casey Schofield, and I'm the Response Program Coordinator for SR3. SR3 stands for Sea Life Response, Rehabilitation, and Research, and we are located down in Des Moines, Washington, which is just below Seattle, Washington, but just above Tacoma. So who is SR3? SR3 is a pretty small team of individuals. This is all of us minus 2. I believe we have 8 people year-round and 11 during our peak season. Like I said, we're located just south of Seattle in Des Moines, and we are a nonprofit. Our mission is to promote the health and wellness of marine wildlife throughout the Pacific Northwest. And all of our work is community supported by individuals like you all that care about marine mammals, especially our local ones. What is SR3? Because it's kind of a pretty broad name. We are a marine mammal hospital, and we focus on rehabilitating and releasing marine animals back into their ocean home. Before SR3, there was no place for sick or injured mammals to go in the Pacific Northwest. Many of them were left on the beach or euthanized. Our facility, again, is small but mighty. We have 3 pools, which you can see in these pictures. Well, you can see 2 of them in these pictures. Our 3rd pool is in our white ICU tent. That white tent has a bunch of individual totes. It's for our intensive care patients or our baby harbor seals that come in and just need a little bit more climate-controlled conditions for their first, while they start their stay at SR3. And then once they're done inside our ICU tent, they can move outside into the big pools. We also have this building, I'm disoriented, this building over here, which is our very small office, our fish kitchen, and then our surgery and treatment room as well, where we can do everything from intake and release exams to minor surgeries like eye enucleations, so if they need their eye removed, ultrasounds, x-rays, anything they might need to help make their stay with us a little bit better. Again, our mission is to promote the health and welfare of marine wildlife in the Pacific Northwest. What that really boils down to is rescuing and protecting marine animals. We do this because marine animals are kind of sentinel species or indicator species of how our marine ecosystem health is. So as we protect them, we also protect our own health. They can tell us how clean the environment is, how healthy our oceans are, and we utilize a lot of the same spaces and food items that they do. So SR3, our 3 R's stand for response, rehab, and research. We stand ready to respond 365 days a year. I heard a question earlier about responding on holidays. Marine mammals definitely don't have calendars. They don't care that Easter's coming up. If they need help, they'll come on shore and ask for help. We respond to about 3,000 miles of coastline in Washington and Oregon, and we do that by relying on our network partners, which you heard from earlier today. And then we have rehab, which we can deliver a lot of different types of medical care. And then we have research as well, which provides data-driven protection for marine mammals in the area. Our research is primarily focused on the southern resident killer whales and other large whale species, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but kind of all around the world. So since opening our doors in 2021, we have responded to over 300 calls per year. This number is a little low. It's from last year. We've had over 243 patients come through our doors now, including 4 threatened and endangered species, including the Guadalupe fur seal and green sea turtle you see here. And again, all of these animals come to a rescue center because of people like you who are concerned walking along the beach and call for help. So we can't do this without your help, so thank you, as always. Now I'm going to ask a pretty silly question. How many of you have seen a seal? Yeah, I like it. How many have been concerned about what that seal might have been doing on the beach? How many of you called an expert about the animal to learn what that seal is doing on the beach? Cool. So, we're going to talk about who you can call when you do see that a little bit later. But first we'll go through what that might look like. So when are marine mammals around? The really cool thing about where we live is always. They're always around. This map up here is the pupping map for Washington State. And so that's when harbor seal pups are born. And you can see they will start to be born down here on the outer coast. And they kind of go up the coast and around and down into the sound. So that's when we'll start to see small, fluffy pups in the area. So we'll go over a little bit what you can look at to determine what a stranded marine mammal is. And this is where I'm going to warn you some of those not so pleasant pictures might be. So what is a stranded marine mammal? NOAA has 3 definitions for what a stranded marine mammal is. It can be a dead marine mammal on shore or in the water. It can be a live marine mammal entangled in the water, or it can be a live marine mammal on shore in need of medical attention. And this is what we'll most commonly see in our area. The top 3 causes of stranding that we see at SR3 are emaciation, disease, and human interaction, which we'll dive into each of those topics. Starting with human interaction. Human interaction is kind of our broadest topic. It can include things like entanglement, which you see for most of these animals here. That's packing bands, those are fishing nets, This is a hook and lure that this harbor seal has. It can also include gunshot cases. We're seeing an increase in gunshot cases actually. This can play a pretty big role in enforcement in our area as well. So if you look at this x-ray of the California sea lion, he has 3 projectiles in the top of his skull. We currently have an adult harbor seal in care who has a projectile in her muzzle as well. So we're getting about 1 to 2 of these cases each year. Something you might not think is human interaction is just a harbor seal or marine mammal being on a busy beach. If you see an animal hanging out on a busy beach, it most likely doesn't feel great. They wouldn't choose to hang out next to this man and his 2 dogs, no matter how nice he probably is, or hang out in the middle of all these tourists taking photos. And another form of human interaction is the well-meaning seal nappers. So people who see a baby harbor seal all by themselves on the beach and they get really concerned and they put them on a tarp in the trunk of their car. Again, a very well-meaning person, but not quite the right thing to do. Another issue that can cause a marine mammal to strand is out of habitat. Out of habitat can be caused for a couple different reasons, like our elephant seal here in the bottom left corner, my left, your right. This is an elephant seal on Whidbey Island. Every year she likes to cross the road. No one knows why, but she does it every year. You can also get some animals out of habit due to toxins or neurological disorders, like these 2 sea lions, the one you see in the middle of the road on the highway. And then one of my favorite pictures, we can play Find the Sea Lion. It's that teeny tiny dot in the middle of the field, and this field was about 3 miles inland.
Wow.
Other causes of stranding can be dehydration or infection. While both of these animals had decent body condition, the harbor seal on the left had an infected eye. This elephant seal has an allergic reaction. Her muzzle is all swollen, and both of them are dehydrated. And you can tell that by looking at a couple different things. The first thing I'm going to look at is to see if they have a beautiful eye ring mask around their eyes. Your marine mammals, seals and sea lions, should have what looks almost like a Batman mask of tears coming from their eyes, and that's how you know they're really well hydrated. So neither of these guys has that. I'm also going to look at their whiskers and see, are those whiskers nice and straight? Are they curly cues? If they're curled, that means they're dehydrated. And if that animal opens up their mouth and you happen to get a very safe, from a distance, look inside of it, and you see really stringy saliva, that's a good indicator of dehydration as well. They can also have gummy eyes, a really raspy call, like they've smoked 2 packs a day, even though they're only a month old. Or they can have some swelling, or kind of, their face might not look quite even. They can also strand for the more obvious injuries, like all of these animals here. Some of them are a bit more straightforward, like this harbor seal with a gash on his neck, or this elephant seal with some head trauma. But some of it can be a bit more subtle, like the sea otter who has an injury on her nose, or this elephant seal who just, ate the wrong fish and that has a ratfish spine sticking up out of her nose. And then our other most common reason for stranding is maternal separation. So for whatever reason, mom has abandoned their pup. She might have got spooked, she might have gotten injured, she might have gotten ill and passed away, and we have a harbor seal pup all on their own. There's a couple ways you can tell if a harbor seal is a maternal abandonment or separation case. And that's by looking to see if their umbilical cord is still attached, like this little fluffy guy on the left. You can see that little pink piece of tissue on their belly button, that's their umbilical cord. If they have a white fluffy lanugo coat like that guy as well, that could mean that they were born early or that mom has left them. They might not have any teeth or teeth buds yet. They haven't grown into their teeth. And just their size, they tend to be really small animals as well. Malnutrition can often be coupled with maternal separation. There's a few different things to look for on malnutrition. We'll get to harbor seals in a second, but these are a fur seal and a California sea lion. And the first thing I look for is, do they have what I call a peanut head? So can you see their skull? And then it goes into their neck and then out to their shoulders. Marine mammals should look like a really smooth torpedo. You should not be able to see their neck at all. And then what other bony systems can I see? Can I see their shoulder blades? Can I see their hip bones? Can I see their spines or their ribs? Again, they should be that nice smooth torpedo. You really shouldn't see any bones, shouldn't see any neck. And they shouldn't be kind of hunchy, like this guy. So both of these are malnourished, but at different levels. This is a patient we could say is emaciated, where this one is just slightly malnourished. But again, you can see different bony structures. You can see that hunched, uncomfortable position. This harbor seal here, you can see pretty much every bone they have. And then this is my favorite photo to share with everybody because it's a great comparison of a beautiful, healthy harbor seal and a not so healthy harbor seal. So our harbor seal at the back, he is bright, he's alert, his eyes are nice and wide open, he's looking right at you, he's got that nice torpedo shape to him compared to his friend in front who hasn't paid any attention to you. He's really kind of down in what I call a flat seal. You can see shoulder blades, you can see hip bones. I bet you if he rolled over, we could probably see his spine. And also you can tell he hasn't moved in a while. His flippers are all dirty. This is all feces that he's kind of just spun around in. So this is an animal that we would say should come in for care, whereas the one behind it is happy, healthy, living his best life. So then the next question is, I've seen these animals, I've looked for bony systems, I've looked for signs of infection or signs of entanglement. What should I do next? The first couple of things we ask you to do is stay far away, give that animal plenty of space. We really like the rule of thumb. I don't know about you, but I don't carry a tape measure in my pocket. I don't know what 100 feet is just by eye. So we like to suggest that if you take your thumb and you put your thumb over that animal, you shouldn't be able to see that animal behind your thumb. So you're going to step back until you can't see that animal behind your thumb anymore. And that should give you around 100 yards, not feet, excuse me, to give them that nice safe distance on the beach. The other thing we do ask is that you keep your pets on a leash. If you're walking down the beach with your dog, they might get overexcited and want to go sniff or investigate what that lump of fluff is on the beach. And we get quite a few patients in that have puncture wounds that are most likely from dog bites. And these animals, if they get scared, can also bite your pets as well. So for their own safety, just keeping them on a leash, keeping that distance, and not disturbing them. The other thing we suggest that you do is call your local network partner. This map always looks like a box of crayons to me. We have about 16 different network partners in the state of Washington that all respond to different stretches of beach. So for your area, your network partner is the Whatcom Marine Mammal Stranding Team, and in just a second I'll have their number up on the screen for you too. So you can call Whatcom, and they'll answer their phone, like Anna said, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and you can leave a message with them. If it's something really dramatic and you're really concerned, you can also call the NOAA hotline. That hotline is manned 24 hours a day, so you can at least talk with someone. They will also call Whatcom and leave a message for them as well. And then we have our response phone too. We're always happy to answer questions or help direct you to the correct person to contact for whatever stretch of beach you're on. If you're not up here, say you're down in Long Beach, Washington, and you have no idea who to call, we're always happy to kind of redirect those phone calls. And I'll have this slide at the end for you guys as well. So now we're going to get into the happy pictures, because that's what everybody's here for. We're going to talk about a couple of different patients we've had come through our doors at SR3, and we're going to start with Miyoki's story. He was our 6th patient last year, 25-6, and he was found out on the outer coast, just a half mile north of Ocean City, only a few hours old. He was alone on the beach, dehydrated, underweight, and in the middle of a snowy plover nesting area, which is not ideal for a harbor seal. So our network partners determined that he was in need of care, contacted us, and then we hopscotched him all the way from the outer coast into SR3 with the help of our transport volunteers. Let me see if I can get this audio to work for you guys. Oh, I can't. We're going to pretend it worked, and it's just the harbor seal call. When harbor seal pups are born, they have a really distinct call that they make to kind of alert mom when they need something, and it basically sounds like them going, Mom, Mom, Mom. They do a pretty good harbor seal. So Miyoki was a really chatty dude when he was in care. She had a relatively unexciting stay at the rescue center, which is what we always love. And after 76 days in care, learning how to eat fish and gain weight, she was released back out on the outer coast with her buddy number 5, whose name was Orzo. Can you tell what our naming theme was last year? It was pastas. We're a very food-motivated team. and was another patient that we had last year. I apologize, I cannot say his name. I'm not even going to try, it's embarrassing. But he is a little bit different than our common harbor seals. He is a Guadalupe fur seal. Yay! They're one of my favorites. He was also found on the outer coast, and he's under a year old. And at under a year old, this picture, which was taken a few days after intake, he was only around 20 pounds, and he should be double that size at least. Guadalupe fur seals are an endangered species. Historical hunting has lowered their population to just a few dozen in the 1800s. But thanks to current protections, their numbers are increasing, but they're still only around 40,000. So besides being an endangered species, he came in because of poor body condition, malnourishment, lethargic, and cold. And again, he was called in by community members just like you guys, picked up by one of our network partners, and then hopscotched his way into SR3 for care. He stayed with us 107 days and then was released with another Guadalupe fur seal we had, 2 in a season, which is pretty uncommon. Her number was 2515, back out on the outer coast. Because of fur seal population status, every individual really does matter. So we were really lucky to be able to release 2 last season back out into their ocean home. They're not very graceful walkers, but they were happy to be back out in the ocean. So while harbor seals are our primary patient, we do take in any marine animal that needs assistance, including Guadalupe fur seals or harbor porpoises. In 2024, SR3 had the first harbor porpoise in care in the Pacific Northwest. We called him Travis. Travis required 24-hour care. So we basically had to double our volunteer force overnight. So this was Travis's intake night. We did a full workup to make sure everything was A-okay before we put him in our pool. Travis had a problem with his equilibrium, so he got this really awesome life vest to help him stay upright, and it required to have a volunteer in the pool with him to help walk him around 24 hours a day. Halfway through your shift, we usually suggested you switch directions. We also had a volunteer that would make sure you were doing okay. She's out sitting on deck. She's under a heat lamp and sitting on a heat mat because this was the middle of November, and it's when we had a cold snap and it was about 20 degrees outside. You really wanted to be the volunteer in the pool because that pool was about 70 degrees. He showed some improvement during his first 10 days with us in care, but unfortunately didn't survive. We had him for 12 days, and by the end of it, he was eating fish all on his own. So Travis passed away because he had parasites that migrated into his brain, which was the cause of his equilibrium issues. He did begin to have seizures, and we elected to humanely euthanize him. This is our CT scan, and then we did an MRI scan as well. And we could tell that the parasites had traveled up his nose and into his brain and into that inner ear, causing all of those equilibrium problems. So while he didn't make it, he still is a big contribution to science. He can tell us more about what animals are facing out in the wild. And we now have the knowledge and practice for the next harbor porpoise that might strand with similar issues. We've also rehabilitated some sea turtles. This is a loggerhead sea turtle named Zartan. Zartan came in from the Oregon coast. And what's really important to note about sea turtles is there should really never be a time that a sea turtle is on the beach in the Pacific Northwest. Not ever. So she came in because she was cold stunned. So we had to slowly raise her body temperature up by 1 degree a day. So that took us quite a while. When she was stabilized, we flew her down to SeaWorld San Diego for the continuation of her treatment, and they released her down there off the coast of California, much warmer waters for her.
Where do they lay their eggs if they don't come ashore?
In the Pacific Northwest. So they'll come ashore down in more tropical areas.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit too chilly up here for them.
So this is out of the normal habitat?
They might swim offshore, and they'll kind of forage out there, but if they're ever coming ashore, they should really be down south further. She was a very picky eater. She wouldn't eat anything until we went to Anthony's restaurant and got some really fancy shrimp, and she decided she liked it. So our goal is to always get these animals healthy and back out into their ocean home. All of these patients you see have been released back out into the wild. So we've got our harbor seals, our sea turtle zartan. This is Bigfoot, a Guadalupe fur seal from 2 seasons ago. And then that's Pickle, the elephant seal, from 3 seasons ago. Another request that we always make is if you are walking along the beaches or out on your boat or hanging out in a marina, to please let us know if you see any of our patients in the wild. There's a couple different ways you can identify them. When we first release our patients, they'll still have their hat tag on, that little red dot you see up on top of his head. That hat tag is just super glued on. We make it from a biodegradable plastic that's made from corn, so it just breaks down in the ocean naturally, and it'll come off when they molt. But they also get released with a handy-dandy flipper tag in between their toes, which, I'm sorry, it's really small, but if you see that orange dot in between those flippers up there, that's a flipper tag. Every patient gets one, and it has a unique ID code for them that kind of connects back to their whole entire patient case. So if you use your super fancy telephoto lens, which I know we all have, you can really zoom in, get a nice picture of that flipper tag and send it to us and be like, look, who did I see? And I can be like, oh my gosh, that is Sprinter. Sprinter is a patient from 2021 that we recite regularly. The one with the red hat tag is Spaghetti, who we've seen a couple of times. And then this one, this light colored harbor seal here, is Dragon. Dragon we get updates on every couple of months because she lives in one of the marinas by us. So we get to see her all the time. So we really like to hear about resites, hear about those success stories, and know that they're out there thriving in the wild. So again, I put this up here so you guys can take a picture of it. These are going to be your 3 best contacts if you have questions about a marine mammal. If you're like, I don't know if this is stranded or not, you can call any of those numbers and we're all happy to help you out.
A lot of us go up to Canada quite a bit. Who's your opposite number in southwest Canada?
That's the Vancouver Aquarium Marine Mammal Response Team. I don't have their number on this, but I can find it for you. I do think that there's someone here from there as well.
Does anybody know their number?
Julie.
Or have access to
It's
it?
something seal. I'll get it.
Yeah, it is something seal. I don't know it off the top of my head, but there are Canadian counterparts that you can contact for help as well.
They can't come here.
Don't think so. They can't come here.
No, if it's a seal from Canada, if it's found on Canadian land, it's going to have to go to a Canadian rehabilitation center. So in this area, it's probably going to be the Vancouver Aquarium. If it's on American land, so if it's here in Point Roberts, then it's going to come to a U.S. rehab center. So generally, we're going to be the ones responding at the Humane Society Wildlife Center, and then we're going to generally be transporting that seal down to SR3 once that seal is stable.
Harbor seals don't have passports. Yeah.
So should you like tell people if you see someone walking down the beach and you know that there's a seal there and maybe it's not hurt or it's not endangered, but the mom is just like out hunting, should you just tell them, hey, there's a seal, like can you please go this way or turn around or something?
Yeah, if you're comfortable with it and feel like it is a safe and smart decision, I'm always for being like, hey, just a heads up, there's harbor seal there, maybe give them plenty of space, but always use your best judgment. Like, we don't want you guys putting yourselves in any awkward, uncomfortable, or unsafe situations.
If you see a lone pup on the beach, how long should you wait before you call? Because I know sometimes if you leave them there for the 24 hours, the mom will come back and get them. But how long do you want us to wait before we contact you on that?
So I am personally really nosy and love hearing about any marine mammal on the beach. So if you have the slightest concern, you can always give us or your network partner a heads up. That way, you might not be the first person who's seen it. She might have seen it 5 hours ago, and now you're seeing it. So just giving us a heads up and letting us know, because we can be like, oh, that's so-and-so, they've been on the beach for 5 hours. We'll send someone out to go look at it, or we'll be like, oh, cool, this is an initial sighting. We're gonna let it hang out for a little bit and see how it goes.
The problem we've had here in Point Roberts is it's heavily used by dog walkers. And so if a seal baby ends up on the beach and there's not somebody who is around to say, please keep your dog back or put your dog on a leash, then we've had a couple of cases here where the baby's been mauled by dogs. And so for us, it's very helpful if we can set up trained seal baby watchers who can watch from a distance and keep people away as well.
So again, that's all going to come through us. So if you see that seal on the beach, give us a call and then we can go out and investigate and potentially work with PAWS. Has been really great with helping us.
I have your
with
number
those
of my phone
responses.
already. So.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they are the first person to call, but then it's helpful, you know, once they get the thing activated, then we can show up, people can show up who can stay back, but stay close enough to the seal to make sure dogs don't damage it. Or coyote, we have a number of
coyotes are a
friendly
problem too.
creatures.
Yeah. Yes.
What's the largest animal you can deal with?
It depends on how confident I'm feeling that day. No, SR3 is set up to care for everything up to a small killer whale. Knock on wood, we don't have that happen. But we've had up to, you know, adult California sea lion, like male adult California sea lions
They're pretty big.
at our facility as well. And we can take an adult stellar sea lion, like a female, probably not a male. But we're pretty set for any animal that might need help.
Is there anybody who can deal with, say, a stranded killer whale or an injured killer whale?
Yep, that's still your stranding networks partner coming for up here. And I will say, if a killer whale does strand, it's usually an all hands on deck. Call everybody who has anything, and we all kind of come help together. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a question I have. So if we have a sea lion, obviously, yes, but then do you send somebody up here to get it? How is that sea lion taken from here to you guys? How would it get from us to you?
It's going to depend on the situation, but we're going to work on transport for that, and that is exactly what our responsibility is to work on figuring out how are we going to respond to this animal. So that would come from us.
Okay.
And let me know if I'm talking out of turn, but a large animal like that is also another like all hands on deck. Who can help, who has the supplies, and we coordinate that within the stranding network and kind of go from there to make the safest and smartest decision for not just the animal, but the team as well.
Yeah. They're always the first line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does your funding come from?
Our funding is primarily private donors, just like all of you. We don't have any government grants. We have a few smaller private grants and things like that, but it's all individual, mostly individual donors. We really appreciate it. We're also doing our first fundraiser next month actually. It's called the Big Blue Bash. If you go on our website, there's kind of ways you can donate or help support if you can't make it down to the actual event itself. But yeah, it's all private.